right, it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the first set in the semifinals between KT Rolster and STX Souls. Spawning in the top left position is the green Protoss playing for KT. His name is Zest.
His opponent spawns in the bottom right position, red Protoss playing for STX Soul. His name is Deer.
Zest, of course, leading 3-0 head-to-head versus his opponent Deer from STX Soul. But, you know, recently Deer been performing a lot better, and Zest still performing pretty solid, but, you know, not as, you know, active, I guess you could say, as Deer here. Really can go either way. You know, a lot of nerves are going to be involved in here. Who can control that better? Who gets the build order advantage? A lot of different variables to consider. You know, the map Bel'Shir Vestige generally tends to lead to a lot of macro games and PvP.
That is definitely true. In fact, one of the first tempests that we saw in this particular matchup has to be on this map Bel'Shir Vestige, where a lot of players, they split down in the middle of the map, they take up to 4 or 5 bases, they gear up for the late game, and we saw some players who understood a lot better in Heart of the Swarm by going for the Stargate play and using the Tempest to counter the Colossus play from their opponent.
Smart there from Zest, just quickly poking around his base, just inside, not outside the ramp there. Looking for some potential proxies, but we're not going to see any proxy shenanigans early on in this game. Certainly possible that we could see a proxied Stargate later on, though, as the game unfolds here. And we have both guys getting early gases as well.
But hey, you're in playoffs. You don't want to lose an important match just because of cheese from your opponent. That's the reason why player like from KT Rolster, he's playing it extra safe to make sure he doesn't die to some cheesy build from his opponent. Deer, of course, he's an STX Soul player, but he's a fantastic Protoss player. He's one of these players who can go for fantastic build order, like you said, and overpower his opponent with macro and unit composition, but he's not afraid to throw in some cheeses here and there.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, the entire STX lineup, if you think about it, has cheesed at one time or another. Innovation probably being the best example of the macro player, but we do occasionally see a few cheeses from him here. And so far, the builds are completely identical at this point. We have it looks like 3 guys on each geyser now for our KT player, and I believe I saw 2 and 3 for Deer here. No, he's up to 3 and 3 now on gas, so they both are certainly going to go into some fast tech.
Yeah, just to send the timing, getting the 3 gas on each geysers right now. As we look at Zest, he's going for the sentry after this core finishes. However, Deer is getting a stalker.
Yeah, also notice how they canceled the Zealots at the last second. And, you know, this is becoming a little bit more common in all the matchups. Originally just seen more against Terran players and Zerg players based on certain openings or strategical choices from their opponents. And once again, it looks like Zest just, you know, poking them behind there a little bit. He is going to go ahead and put up a Nexus here as we see his opponent Deer sending out that Mothership Core across the map. We'll most likely see a fast follow-up expansion from Deer as well, based on what he's getting here.
Yeah, just going back to the Zealot first that we saw before the Sentry and the Stalker got made. The Zealot is made so that if their opponent went for a proxy 2-gate outside of their main base, at least they have a Zealot to buy some time for the Mothership Core to come out inside the main base. If you don't see a Zealot run up the ramp by the time the Zealot is about to finish, there's no reason for you to get the Zealot out. Just get a Sentry or Stalker.
Yeah, so these players really just adapting to certain situations here, finding the way to be as greedy as possible while still, you know, being relatively safe. We do have a Twilight follow-up from Zest, and we do see the Robo being constructed by Deer as well. Both of them grabbing a few additional gateways here. Zest going for 2, just in a single additional one for Deer. And both of them are continuing to make a few Stalkers and Sentries behind this as well. Finally, we have a Hallucinated Phoenix now from Zest. He's going to be able to easily spot his opponent's expansion as well as the tech path choice. Hold on a second. We have a Dark Shrine follow-up here from Zest, but unfortunately for him, his opponent is getting that Robo.
Yeah, and once he scouts the Robo, I don't know if he's going to try to finish the Dark Shrine inside the main base. He does see the Robo finish up inside the main base, and he cancels the Dark Shrine right away, knowing that it's going to be wasted resources at this point. It's better for him to go for the Blink right now since he has the Twilight tech.
Absolutely. I totally agree with Zest's choice there to go ahead and just cancel that Dark Shrine. Yeah, he doesn't really lose a lot by canceling it. He can go into that Blink Tech. I would love to see that from him, and also grabbing a fast Robo behind this as well would be a pretty good choice. We'll probably see a Forges go up pretty fast around both of these guys as well. That seem being a little bit more common as well in PvP. Faster forward just to get those faster upgrades out.
Yeah, you know, these players, they always have to focus on the upgrades in this particular matchup. You know, previously we saw a lot of Protoss players trying to go for a timing push, but nowadays it's more about the mid to late game, more about the Immortal Archon Zealot composition, and he's gonna proxy the Dark Shrine outside of the main base.
Huh, interesting that he would go for the Dark Shrine proxied even after he knows his opponent has a Robo. So I guess, you know, he could send in DTs when this Observer is out across the map. There could be additional Observers, though, throughout the game. Ooh, but behind this, Zest is making a Warp Prism. Looks like he may want to go for some Dark Templar drops using that Warp Prism.
And remember, after making the first Observer, you wait for a few minutes at the natural, and if you don't see any DTs come in, you're going to leave the Observer outside of the main base, on your main base, to make sure you scout what your opponent is doing. Deer, he did use a hallucinated Phoenix, but if he sends the Observer out on the map to scout using the Observer, then Zest can do a lot of damage with the DTs inside the main base.
Indeed. Now, because we don't see a Twilight Council or a Dark Shrine from Deer, he is going ahead and starting his +1 attack right now. He did get that early forge. Getting the Twilight Council behind this as well. He could go for Blink. We do see Deer moving across the map with a couple of units, just trying to take control of those watchtowers. Forge on the way for Zest as well behind this. We do have that Dark Shrine completed now, and the Warp Prism heading across the map. Should be in his opponent's base pretty quick here. Warping in a few Dark Templars outside. Going to send one potentially to the natural here, but this Observer is going to scout it.
Well, the Observer does scout it, but what Deer does not scout is a drop inside the main base. This is going to be a double-pronged attack. Can Deer defend without losing too many probes?
Oh, look at this. Already a preemptive Nexus Cannon in the main base here. The Dark Templar strategy from Zest, smart. But Deer quicker to react, and that doesn't end up doing any damage whatsoever here. You know, this is going to force Deer to be a little bit more defensive and make sure that he has enough Observers. But beyond that, you know, Deer handled that perfectly. He didn't lose any economy.
He didn't lose any economy, and he forced the two TTs to be force the two TTs from his opponent. Even the Dark Shrine tech, which is gone to waste right now, did not even get a single Observer. And what did he waste to defend against the two DTs? Just one extra Observer and 100 energy on the Mothership Core. That is fantastic for STXO player.
Now the thing to look at as the game unfolds, we do see from Zest, he's getting a lot of gateways behind this. He's going for the Templar Archives as well. He's getting his +1 attack, getting the charge, more Immortals out. We don't see any indication of him going to grab an additional expansion here. Deer already ahead, about 10 supply over his opponent, has cannons in the main natural, getting that third base up a lot faster. We could see Zest go for a very big gateway timing here, but look at this. We already see the scout from Deer.
Yeah, Deer scouts this completely. He has the third Nexus finishing up, but he has a lot more Immortals than his opponent. Remember that. And his opponent is only going to have a tons of charge loss and Archons, which if Deer just warps in a lot of units to defend against it, he's going to be completely fine against Zest's timing attack. Even the upgrades favor Deer right now, as he's heading for +2 right now, with Zest only finishing up +1.
Yeah, actually only 2 probes on the Geyser at the main base there. That could be a bit of a mistake from Zest. He's not getting as much gas income as he'd necessarily want in this position. I guess thankfully for him, he still has a lot of gas in the bank. He's using that on some high Templars now. And still a solid defense here from Deer. He doesn't want his main base to get dropped by Warp Prism with a mass warp and follow-up.
And as time goes on, Deer is just double-checking to make sure that Zest is not going for the third base, and he's feeling comfortable right now. Excuse me, it's not like Zest hit a perfect timing before the third base went up, or before Deer had critical amount of units, so now he's pushing down on the map, but if you look at the supply, it's fairly even between the two players. Yes, Zest has less probes than his opponent, but all Deer has to do is warp in tons of units when the attack hits.
Yeah, this is going to be a make it or break it for Zest. Okay, he's going to go ahead and grab the third expansion. I think what we're going to see from Zest is he's going to heavily pressure that third base, try to get a decent trade, utilize Micro. At the same time, he could do a Warp Prism drop in the main base or the natural. Here we go. Dark Templar are on that Warp Prism as well, and there's no cannons at the natural. Looks like it was picked off if there was one there. We do see the Nexus Cannon going down in the natural base as well. Zest poised for attack, but he hasn't committed just yet.
Yeah, this was a really nice fake attempt by Zest, and this buys him enough time to secure the third base behind this. But what he did not I don't know if you saw it with the drop and the Warp Prism, but his opponent is getting a Robo Bait, which means that Deer, he's feeling far ahead compared to his opponent.
Oh, the Warp Prism picked off, though. That's 2 Dark Templars and 2 Zealots inside. We also have a main engagement here between the players. Overall positioning is pretty solid from both ends, but the problem is Zest, he doesn't have enough reinforcements to take out Deer. These additional Zealots could actually end up helping out. We're seeing now the Immortals get target fired here. Hold on a second. Deer is being pushed back, and all of a sudden, Zest grabbing an advantage. He doesn't have an economic advantage yet, but these units over here could potentially end the game if Deer is completely careful and can defend this third base.
The problem for Deer is, yes, he had more Immortals and Archons compared to his opponent, but he didn't warp in enough cells because he was wasting those 4 warp-ins towards the third base right now.
The probe count starting to fall slowly here for Deer. However, this third base for Zest may end up going down. The third base being abandoned by Deer as well. He's realized, I can't hold on to this expansion. I need to get additional units out and defend against this attack, but just now we have a pretty solid supply advantage for Zest. You know, almost 40 over his opponent. The Dark Templar also saves the third expansion as well. Deer going to try to do a warp in the main base, but there's already a cannon and 2 Zealots here to help defend. We probably won't see this warp attack doing too much damage. Zest now poised the move in for the main engagement here. There's 3 Archons in the mix, but the unit count 4. Zest simply looks like it may be too much, but no, Deer with additional Zealot reinforcements, he is going to at least temporarily send away this attack, but no, they're going to continue the fight at the natural. 2 additional Archons moving in here from Zest as well, but Deer, it looks like he's going to have enough units here to defend, and he is going to push back Zest in this position, taking out some of the Immortals. The Archons now down as well. Additional charge lot reinforcements, trying to make something happen here. Will it be enough? It doesn't look like it, though.
Yeah, a little bit disappointed by Zest's decision-making at the natural, knowing that he had a lot of charge loss and a little more Immortals than his opponent, but he did not have the Archons. Yes, it's fantastic that he took out a third base over there, but he didn't have to lose that many Immortals and Archons just sitting at the natural and trying to pressure his opponent.
All right, additional Zealot reinforcements forced in the main base on Deer's end. The supplies are actually dead even right now, but Zest has the third base, while his opponent Deer does not have the third expansion. So now it kind of comes to the point where Deer, he's down in workers, and he's also, oh nice, spots the Dark Shrine. That won't be really too useful at this point, but is going to continue to try to do a little bit of harassment here. He needs to just keep his opponent busy. He's going to re-secure the third base as well. There's a single Dark Templar there, though, from Zest, just kind of chilling next to that expansion there.
That's going to bite Deer in the butt if he does not spot the DT, because he's just waiting for the DT's critical number of probes to move to the third base, and he's going to wipe out every single probe at the third base. But for now, Deer is getting a Colossus behind this, and he's going for a little bit more of the Wings of Liberty style composition, while Zest is just sticking to charge lots and Immortals.
Indeed, we do have the double robo churning out additional Colossi here as Deer secures that third expansion. He's eventually going to find out about that Dark Templar and go ahead and pick that off. We could see Zest wait for the probes to come towards that expansion before utilizing that DT. Mothership Core just chilling above that, but doesn't have detection, so doesn't know about the Dark Templar. And we do see a Stargate follow-up from Zest here. It looks like he does want to go ahead and eventually make Tempest to deal with his opponent's Colossus, but we're in a kind of a weird situation here where, you know, the supplies are a little bit lower than they would be. Here comes the DT. Now, this is what it's been designed to do here. Pick off those probes. We do see the probe pull from Deer as well, and with the Observer, the Dark Templar will be annihilated.
Yeah, except it only got 1 kill when it could have gone for a little bit more by going for the probes at the Geyser, but he was rallying towards the wrong unit. And here's the key point for using the Colossus in PvP in Heart of the Swarm. You have to use it a little bit more like a timing attack before the Tempests come out, because once the Tempests come out, then the Colossus get hard countered.
Absolutely. We just have a Phoenix in production. Kind of unsure why he's deciding to make that Phoenix, but getting the Fleet Beacon behind this indicates that he certainly wants to go into the Tempest tech. And yeah, I completely agree with you. The Colossi are used for more of a timing attack in this position, and I totally agree with what he's doing here. Oh, the Phoenix used the counter the Warp Prism. Very smart there for him to do that, but here comes the third attack from Deer, trying to barge down Zest's base. and he does have the superior army composition right now. The Time Warps, though, pretty solid here. The Zealots are just getting annihilated by the AoE damage from the Archons, from the Colossi. All 4 of them remain here, and there's simply nothing to deal with these high-tech robo units.
Yeah, that's what happens if you don't see the Colossus in time and get the Tempest out, and this is how you use Colossus in PvP these days. You just cannot go for the 8 Colossus count. GG is called as STXO takes set number 1 against KT Roaster.
I love the Colossus tech switch there from the air. So smart for him to do that. Normally, in a standard PvP nowadays, we see people go into the Charged Out Archon tech with lots of Immortals to back them up. But in this situation, the Colossus tech was perfect for the timing, and there was no chance for Zest to win in that engagement.
And remember, Deer was ahead when he started getting the Robo Tech when the 3rd base was up before Zest took it out. So why not just make up the 4 Colossus, go for a strong timing push, and finish his opponent?
Indeed. Well, after a back-and-forth game here, we do see the first game being won by STX Souls Protoss player Deer. And on that note, we're going to go into a quick commercial break. When we get back, Puzzle versus Classic, a PvP on Neo Planet S.